You're listening to the Beans and Dice podcast, a podcast about how we game.
Hey, folks. Welcome to the Beans and Dice podcast. I'm Carlos.
I'm Wayne.
And that is not Rob. He's hold on. There we go. In honor of Rob, he is on his way. He will probably be walking in the door anytime soon, which means the dog will go nuts. We got a German Shepherd. She doesn't like it when anybody opens the door, but I'm certain she'll go nuts, so we'll know he's here, and then he'll come into the studio and join us. But for now, it's Wayne and I talking to you about board games.
And how we play.
And how we play.
And eventually a cat meow.
Oh, God. 9 o'clock every time on the dot. No joke. Now, the phone lines are not open yet. It's going to give us a chance, Wayne and I, to prime the pump of the show, kind of the primer, to talk about things that kind of interest us this last week and maybe get y'all the juices flowing. And then we'll open up the phone lines in just a moment here. But get your phones ready. We're going to open up phone lines in just a second. Get y'all in here. Let me close my BGA before I start getting distracted and playing more games.
Play a turn.
Let me do that. Let me close the BGA.
I got to do the same.
What I did want to talk about is a show that I just kind of binge watched on Netflix recently, High Score.
Okay.
So High Score is a documentary on Netflix about video games and the video game industry.
Is that the one with the Donkey Kong high score? Okay.
Yep. Yes. So it takes you through the first video games that were designed and created, like Pong, the wall break one, the where the ball you bounce it and break the wall.
Yeah.
And then all the people that those games inspired to begin creating like Space Invaders, right? So it kind of starts off in that early time frame.
Yeah, and like the guys who went on to do the Atari stuff, and then the Nintendo. Yeah. I think I watched that years ago.
And
a while back.
I don't know. I don't know how old it is.
I think it's pretty.
Is it?
It might be.
Maybe I'm behind the eight ball.
Look it up real quick.
I'll have Wayne do some research there on the Netflix. You tell me, High Score, when did it come out? Yeah. But I had a blast watching that because they really did tie in the influence that gaming had on these folks. And I mean like tabletop gaming, like role-playing gaming. So they had people who were role-play gamers, dungeon masters, who then ended up creating video games, the first RPGs that were out there, those text RPGs where you would type, like it would tell you, you're in this room, right? And you would type back what you were going to do, and the computer would tell you what would happen.
Yep. 2020.
2020?
I did. I remember watching this when the pandemic first hit.
All right, I missed it. I never saw it.
It was this and Tiger King.
You're very eclectic in your taste.
Yeah. We binge watched Tiger King as a group of people on Discord. It was hilarious because it was basically like Mystery Science Theater 3000. But High Score, I loved this because it was awesome. And the episode where they're talking about Nintendo and the whole we would call in to Nintendo.
That was awesome.
Get game help. Rado worked for Nintendo and was one of those guys that you would call into and speak to. And so when High Score came out, he actually talked about it on his show. And he's like, man, I was hoping there was a clip of me in there somewhere from back in the day because he designed Siphon Filter and a bunch of video games. And that's where he made all his money and retired to.
Oh, that's how he did it.
Yeah. He did Siphon Filter 1 and 2 and a couple other big AAA titles back in the day, retired and moved to
it was just great watching them interview the designers and their thought processes on how they came up with, groundbreaking things like online multiplayer, right? The creation of Doom. So I know it's not exactly board game, but there is very much board game stuff in there, tabletop stuff in there. So I'm going to recommend that show to y'all as something I think really, really interesting.
It was a really cool show. I remember it now as I'm thinking about it more and more. That was a really cool show. I enjoyed it. The other one I like too because it's sort of adjacent to board games, but The Toys That Made Us is another series on Netflix that I love because it goes through G.I. Joe and Transformers and He-Man and from start to finish how these toys were developed. And
you hear the dog barking, so we know Rob's here.
We know Rob's here. He's coming in a minute.
Rob should be coming in just a moment. I started watching the He-Man one. I didn't have a lot of those toys growing up, so I not having a lot of those toys, I don't have a lot of connection to those.
Okay.
But I still remember my Atari and my Nintendo. Like there was my grandfather bought them for us.
Yep.
My dad got the Atari. My grandfather got Nintendo. So that's really hit me home on that one.
They got another movie on Netflix. They had the Neil Patrick Harris Christmas movie this year on Netflix, and it was basically just a rip-off, a retelling of the Christmas Story with the kid that wanted the air rifle, but in this case it was the kid wanted a Nintendo from when it first came out in the 80s, and you couldn't find them, and everyone wanted them for Christmas, and they were fighting over that and Cabbage Patch Kids, and that's kind of
well, that's my primer.
Giving
Rob, we talked about Netflix.
Am I on time? I'm in it. I'm not late, right?
and we talked about the documentary on Netflix called High Score.
I've heard of it. Okay, yeah.
I'm going to recommend it. That's what I'm telling the folks. So
Sweet.
at this point, I will open up the phone lines, folks. That was my primer to kind of get the conversation juices flowing. We will open up the phone lines for you now.
You know, in the near future, I mean, maybe 10 or 15 years from now, but there'll be a documentary series about board games too, because we're in that infancy now of this renaissance of board games in like the last 5 or 10 years, where video games were in the 70s and 80s and 90s.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah, but also there was a section of that talked about the not just the infancy of the gaming, but the fall, the die down, right? Which they talked about the glut of games in the video game system, the world, and like E.T., right, had come out and like ruined everything, right? Because
in the landfills and all that good stuff. Yeah,
they were just pushing so many games that so much chaff, lack of a better word, garbage that was being put out just to put out stuff. Do you think we're hitting that point now?
Yeah, I think we've always had that point here, because there's a
I thought I heard it ringing over there. Yeah,
there's a ton
First
of games.
caller.
There's a ton of games out there right now that are trash. You know,
Beans and Dice podcast. State your name and where you're calling from. Oh, did that work?
Oh, gotta answer it. Yeah.
Beans and Dice podcast. State your name. Where you're calling from?
Joe, it's Lorenzo from Seattle.
Oh, speaking of
Michael.
trash,
How are you?
Oh,
Seattle or Michael?
wow.
Be specific here.
Wow,
How's it going out there?
this is what the first caller gets, huh?
Oh yeah, I know. Well, Mitchell usually gets
usually
this.
it's Mitchell. So.
Yeah, you shook us up. You surprised us. Caught us off guard.
So what's going on, fellas? I heard you talking about this the docu-series on Netflix.
yes, we were talking about that High Score docuseries, and I liked it. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it was good.
Oh yeah, I watched it when it first came. I was like anticipating when it came out, so I was all over it because that was like my thing. I remember when Atari 2600 came out.
Oh yeah.
All those text-based games. But anyway, let's not turn this into the video game.
It is a gaming show.
Or the old guy network. Yeah. Atari. Yeah.
I had the Coleco.
Yeah, I think
Coleco.
there's actually they're going to be doing a board game documentary. If it hasn't been out already,
Yeah, I've heard of it.
it might be on.
A few.
It might be on Prime. Maybe there's like a newer one that's on Prime. Maybe it's on Prime. I don't know, but I heard somebody mention like, oh yeah, they should do one for board games, or they will eventually. But
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
Cool. What have you been up
so
to?
let's. Well, I have been getting my wife into more board games.
That's always a
which is
good thing.
great. We've been playing the crap out of Planet Unknown.
Oh, okay. No it.
That's the one with the lazy
Kickstarter
Susan,
that
right?
delivered. Yes. And
Wait, that's the one. It came with a Lazy Susan.
Oh yeah.
yeah, it's a polyomino game, and you're trying to like populate a planet. So you've got like a grid in front of you, and there's like 6 spokes, I guess you could say, on the Lazy Susan, with like 2 types of pieces per spoke that are all different shapes. And then when it's like your turn, you spin the Lazy Susan to where you want it. You have like a little arrow that's in front of you that points to the area. And then other people that are playing with you, they have to pick a piece from in front of their arrow. So you can play up to 6 players. There's 6 spokes. And there's different types of terrain, and each type of terrain is going to have like 2 benefits that you can bump up your tracks. And like every so many spaces on your track, you're getting a bonus, or you're getting victory points, or and you can play without, like, everybody gets their own, like, end of game objective. And if you're playing with a number of people, you actually put objectives between each person. So you and the person to your left is going for one objective, you and the person to your right is going for one objective, and it's like different all the way around the table, which I thought was kind of neat how they did that. So they give you all the planets are double-sided, like the boards that you're putting the pieces on, and all the corporations are double-sided. The boards are double-sided. So one side of all the planets and one side of all the corporations, they're all the same. So when you're like teaching people, you know, everybody's got the same rules and, you know, yada, yada. But when you look on the other side, every single one is unique. So you have asymmetric powers per corporation, and the planets are like, some planets are really weird where they have like strict placement rules. And it's, I mean, when I was like, oh, you want to play a new game? And my wife was like, sure, you know, we'll try it out.
That seems pretty heavy as like a first time learner.
It's really not that heavy. Yeah. I mean, she's been playing heavier games lately. So,
it's kind of like
it's like
polyomino. You're building out a planet with polyominoes. So it's like
correct.
Terraforming Mars meets like
Tetris?
Patchwork, right? or like
yeah, Isle of Cats.
Isle of Cats,
you know, or something like that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to come up with.
So
that was cool.
I was kind of scooting through the rules, and we sat down at the coffee table and we played a game, and she's like, that was a lot of fun. You want to play again? And I was like, what?
Oh, there we go. Ding, 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 ding. Winner.
Like, yeah, got a winner there. Got a winner. So it was like 2 or 3 nights in a row. She's like, oh, you want to play Planet Unknown? I was like, who the hell are you? And what did you do with my wife? You
exactly. All right. Well, give me a quick comment on this Lazy Susan. I've heard a little bit of a little backlash on the Lazy Susan, that it's extremely kind of light, flimsy plastic, that people have painted it and done things to it to try to make it look a little more like an accessory and not just kind of a piece of junk sitting on the table.
I mean, it's not really the highest quality, and I would say the game as a whole isn't the highest quality.
I've heard
this
that.
Is this company's, it's their first game, and like the corporation boards, even though they did, they're technically triple layer, well, maybe quadruple layer, because you've got spaces for the cubes on both sides of the boards. So they kind of like frayed at the corners. I don't know if it was the cutting technique or it was the type of material that they used. But, I mean, if you take a little bit of care to it, you know, and it's not like cards where, you know, if you see a card with a little tear in the corner, you're like, okay, I always know that one's going to be the pink card or whatever.
The number 6 blue in Lost Cities for my deck.
Right, there you go. Yeah. There you go. It's nothing like that. And the Lazy Susan, I mean, do I think it came out exactly like they wanted to? I think they changed the design a couple of times during the like manufacturing process because their initial design didn't work quite right. And I mean, it looks fine. It's not like you're putting it in the middle of the table and somebody's like, "Oh man, that's a piece of crap." It's like, "Whoa, what is this game?" It has table presence still.
Yeah. Mike, it looks like a sub platter from Publix.
That's, you know what? That's an excellent comparison.
The little cheese tray from the local deli.
Does it make it like, so you and your wife are playing it 2-player, you have the Lazy Susan in between you. Does it make it easier to spin that around as you're playing it? Does it serve a purpose as far as game mechanics, or is it just for ease of convenience to be able to spin parts around everybody?
Both.
Okay.
So it is, they say when you play with 2-player, you should put your you should sit at opposite ends of the Lazy Susan, and then every turn just spin it once. But we don't play that way. We play like we're picking which one we want, and then the other person has to pick from that one. So it does help spin easy on the table. I'm surprised. I can't remember how much the game costs, but there had to be some manufacturing cost with the Lazy Susan.
Sure.
I mean, I know the pictures kind of don't do it justice. I mean, it's close, but it really doesn't do it justice. But there had to be some manufacturing costs with this. So it is both to make it easy to spin, but it is part of the mechanic, because you figure if you're playing with 3 people, everybody lines up their arrow in front of them. And as you spin it, you're picking from that one spoke, and everybody's doing simultaneous picking from the Lazy Susan, and they have to pick one of the 2 from in front of them.
Oh, that's cool.
So it does add a little bit of, if you're paying attention to other people's boards, you can kind of like screw them out of something. There's always going to be some kind of choice, but there is oh man, he really needs that kind of tile, but some of these tile, some of the spokes wouldn't give him that type of tile. So I'm going to spin it this way, and I'm going to, I'll take a little bit of hit, but to prevent them from getting mega points or something like that.
Well, you know me, I'm not a theme guy at all. I'm all mechanics, so the look of it isn't something that's going to detract for me that much. So I really am glad to hear that it's a fun game. That's what I'm hearing is real positive reviews on the game, and then I've heard some negative reviews on, again, the components, and I think somebody commented that when they took it out of the box, it looked like it had already been played a handful of times. So.
So the cardboard was kind of framed.
But that could also be manufacturing during the pandemic, and that's my worry. Is with, like you say, with this giant Lazy Susan made of plastic, and the price of plastics now, the game's getting high ratings. But this is probably the kind of game that is not going to necessarily go to retail because of the price of manufacturing.
I think they are, because the Kickstarter, they only had what they consider the deluxe version.
Yeah.
But they are talking about doing a non-deluxe version, and I don't know how that would turn out.
You know me, Mike. I like to look at the bookends of the reviews, right? So I'm speaking of the components piece. I'm in the 1s. I like to look at the 1s and the 10s.
On the BGG, yeah.
And
of course.
Here's the one that's kind of got me. The visual component on the wash was terrible. It looks like the components are covered in soot.
That's
correct.
Pretty harsh.
There was a manufacturing issue where I think when they got the samples, it looked fine, but then when they actually started producing them, the wash on some of the plastic components looked like crap, and a lot of people were complaining about it. And they even put out a video like, "Hey, if you don't like the wash, use a little acetone, like nail polish remover, and it scrubs off very easy." My copy, when I didn't even remember that they were putting a wash on it. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, it looks like space dust. It's kind of like, it's not going to bother me. And if you wanted to,
rationalizing theme,
right. Yeah, just scrape it off with some acetone and paint it, or do whatever you want. Leave it the color of the plastic. But it to me, it doesn't. That type of stuff doesn't detract, because it's not like I was buying, a command game where I'm expecting the minis to look badass and they come out looking.
Yeah, it's not blue orange.
Yeah,
right. Yeah, so it's.
But that one review at the rating of 1 didn't say anything about gameplay. It didn't talk anything bad about the gameplay.
I've heard good on the gameplay. Yeah,
that board looks just like a Terraforming Mars board, though. You have the tracks going up, your resource tracks, and you got the planet you're filling out. But I like the idea that.
And that's the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I like the idea, though, is when you spin that Lazy Susan, you can only take what's in front of you. So either you have to decide, take something that might be slightly beneficial for you.
I don't like that.
Something that's really. That,
I
know Carlos has one piece in front of me. It's not going to get around to you.
Mr. Random don't like that? Yeah.
Yeah, see the little arrows that are pointing at the Lazy Susan on those pictures you got pulled up? Yeah. That's how it is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool mechanic. I haven't seen the polyomino thing like that.
Kind of reminds me of Four Gardens. Michael, have you played Four Gardens?
I have not.
It's got that stack of pagodas with the multiple layers that spin, so you can only take from a certain section or whatever. I don't know. Okay. I called it gimmicky when I reviewed it. Yeah. But hey, wifey loves it, and that's all that matters here. That's the name of that story is wifey loves it.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
Big ticket item there, so I was happy about that. And the only other game that I've been kind of busy this week. The only other game that I really played this week was Spire's End, which was it's a single player. You can play with 2 people if you want, but it's really single player, kind of like a Which Way book, but it's played with cards, and you have characters, and there's fighting, and there's a whole dice mechanic, and to me it's the characters. You kind of choose which attack you want to do, and everyone has like about 5 or 6 different attacks, and you spend that much of your health, and you roll a d8, and depending on what you roll, there's like different levels of hits that you'll do with that particular attack, and if you get really high up in the number, it'll like add on like a bonus thing that only that one character can do to like the bad guys. Okay. But it was my first time playing. It's pretty easy once you understand the flow of it. It was like boom, boom, boom. You're getting through the battles really quick and getting on with the story. And I know this isn't really Rob's thing, the story, but there are a lot of cubes in the game. So.
There we go. Ding, ding, excited. that artwork looks pretty cool.
Settle down, Rob. Settle down.
The artwork is
jump out of my chair.
The artwork is really cool. And this guy, this was a Kickstarter initially. I bought it. I think I bought it off of his website post Kickstarter, but he just ended another Kickstarter called. I think it was like Spire's End Hildegard or something like that. There's one of the characters that's in this particular game, and he's doing another one, and the artwork is very similar. If it isn't the same person, it could be the same person. But yeah, so I'm kind of excited to get that one in as well.
So it was a good solo play. Let me hit you up real quick. You have Final Girl, is that right? I remember you having that.
I do.
Have you played?
I do.
Much at all?
I haven't played it yet.
No, dang! I'm hearing a lot about that again.
I know.
Lately, for some reason, it's been popping up on a lot of the interwebs, and so I've got kind of an itch to play it. I know the Dan's got a copy over at Your Turn. I may have to go over there and check that out and give it a play.
Interesting enough,
I heard it.
I was gonna say I have a friend that lives in Seattle who loves this game.
Oh, really?
And plays it. He's played.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's played. He loves it. He's gonna late back the second Kickstarter because now he wants more content because he's really enjoying it.
Oh man, I went to do the second Kickstarter and it was like, how much do they want for these expansions? So like, no, I can't. It was like almost $200, I think, for the expansions. That's not even including the base game for the second Kickstarter.
Yeah.
But yeah, I heard it's very similar to what's the police game?
Negotiator.
Negotiator.
Yeah.
I think it's the same system.
Yeah, hostage negotiator. Yeah.
The same system. They just added they changed the theme.
Yeah, and I think they added a couple of little mechanics.
Yeah, there's a couple of mechanics.
Cleaned it up a little bit.
Yep.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's one of those games where I'm going to need a little bit more time to sit down and actually learn it. And I know that there's some how-to videos out there, but I haven't really gotten to them yet.
It's getting a lot of love. A lot of people are really liking it. Like I say, for some reason, it kind of died down for a few months. I hadn't heard much about it. Then lately, it's been popping up again. So I'm thinking, I want to try this one. So 2 other quick things here I got to mention. I just popped up the comment. Mitchell, I don't know if you saw that commented. He said, I made it home from rehearsal. I had charged Ron to take my place as the first caller tonight, but he dropped the ball. He says, I suppose Mike is a suitable replacement. So there you go. Little love from Mitchell there.
He supposes.
Yeah, he supposes.
I was going to say, I was helping him out, but now forget it.
I did say a lot of love, a little love from Mitchell. And then the other thing I was just going to mention is I did get my game from your son. I got picked up for Circadian's First Light, so I'm itching to play that again.
Oh, nice.
I want to teach that to Carlos.
I want to play it.
Oh, yeah, it's right up his alley, so I know Carlos is going to love that
game.
Yep.
That game is awesome,
it
man.
Is.
That game, you want to talk about a game that doesn't get enough love?
Yep.
That's like near the top of my list right there.
I agree 100%. Yep. So I played it twice now, I think, and I believe both times with you, and it's really good. I like it a lot.
Well, it's always good to hear from Mike, man. He plays some really good quality games.
Yeah, he keeps pulling out games I have hardly heard of, and he's like, "Hey, have you tried this?" Like, "Whoa, yeah, that's a lot better than I thought it was going to be." And then you seem to be ahead of the curve on some of those underground ones. You hear about this stuff and play it,
I try to be. I try to be, man. It's when you play those underground games, though, it's getting other people to play them. That's
Circadian's Light going
tough.
With you for 8 months to every game day.
Circadians or Arc Nova. Oh, hey, Arc Nova, you got Arc Nova? Well, I don't know what that Circadians crap is, but let's play Arc Nova.
We'll get 2 games of Arc Nova in one day.
Double.
Mm-hmm. Yep. All right, guys. I'll let you go. I took up enough of your time, but I was glad I was able to talk with you.
Great call, homie.
Have a good show.
Appreciate you calling.
Miss you, man. Miss you.
Take care, Mike.
Bye. That's Mike Lorenzo from formerly Tampa.
Now from Seattle.
Now from Seattle. Phone line's open, 813-618-7099. You know, when Mike calls in, I don't want to stop because...
Oh, no, yeah. He's always got
I
interesting
know
stuff
we've
to talk
clogged the
about.
phone line there for a little bit, but if you're a regular viewer of the show, you'll know that Mike does a great job of providing great content. Like Mike...
Yeah, he's always got good stuff to talk about. Yep.
Oh, we got a call coming in.
Got a call.
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name and where are you calling from?
Oh, Beans and Dice. Anybody there? If you're hearing us, we're not hearing you. Unfortunately, you'll need to try us back.
Maybe they're not hearing us. Okay.
Oh, hello?
Oh.
There we go.
Hello, Beans and Dice. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is Ron from Atlanta.
Oh, hey, Ron. How are
Hello,
you?
Ron Frazier.
Gentlemen, I have failed in my duty.
Oh, Mitchell tried to pass the baton to you for one night, and you didn't come through, it sounds like.
This would be the night that I ended up in a long conversation. Anyway.
But we got you on now.
How you guys? Yep. How you guys doing?
Doing good. I was a
It's
little
been a
late
good
tonight,
week.
so I had to run in here, but yeah, but otherwise pretty good.
Good. Thanks to Wayne and Carlos, been playing some stuff on BGA and
Oh, yeah.
got a couple of games in with my wife this week and everything.
You can blame Wayne.
Nice. Yeah. Wayne's been doing all the BGA stuff, but good to hear the second caller in a row who's been playing games with his wife. That's outstanding. I don't game with my wife. I think I've told that story before. She's ultra competitive, and she knows that she's too competitive and gets angry when things don't go her way, and so she's not the person you want to live in the same household with at that point. She knows she has a problem, and we've agreed we don't play games anymore.
Rob, if anything, you can
come
seek
here?
help, okay?
I can come stay here. Anyway, but what have you been playing with your wife, Ron?
So we picked up an oldie but goodie, Age of War, and we hadn't played that in like 3 years.
Oh, that's a great game.
But it is. But you know what? Like it drags for a little bit, because it's a dice rolling game,
It
right?
can.
It's a luck roll, you know that, right?
It can.
And it took a while for things to really get going for either of us in the game. And so like it's lost a little bit of its shine for me, but like we still enjoyed it. I don't think I want to talk about a little bit of a story about being competitive. So my wife and I played Unmatched for the first time not that long ago.
Oh boy.
And I beat so we played Combo Fighter. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Combo Fighter.
Oh yeah.
It's a card-based fighting game, and we had a back and forth with that game. And so I figured I'd just take a step up and play Unmatched. And I don't know whether it's because she just thought it was similar to the Combo Fighter or whatnot, but like it was not good for her.
Yeah.
And that's the only time that we've played that game. She wasn't happy.
That happens.
Ron, you don't understand the rule of teaching a game, bro.
Gotta lose it.
Especially when you're teaching a wifey.
No, dude, she stalks me on the timer all the time. So it's like it's to the point where like she doesn't even want to play it against me anymore. So fair is fair.
Yeah. Well, you got to know your limits. There are some games that are probably just going to ruin relationships, and so it's not worth it.
Yeah. So have you guys heard of Regicide?
Oh, yeah.
I've heard of it. I'm trying to replace it. Regicide.
I made it, Rob.
You made it.
I made it. We played it at Escape WinterCon.
Okay. I'll have to. I don't remember.
Okay, so go ahead. Ron, you talk about Regicide.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah, Regicide is. Yeah, it's a card. It's a solo or co-op card game.
Runs at the drag race.
Ron's at the
I
street
know.
races. This is Tokyo Drift with Ron Frazier.
And so it's a really nifty game. Like you have a deck of cards, although you can buy the official game, and I plan on it, where you build a deck of face cards, queens, jacks, and kings, and they have an attack value and a health value, and all the other cards have an attack value, and basically what you're trying to do is you're trying to beat that deck of face cards before you run out of cards in your hand. Because when you take damage, you have to discard the value of cards equal to the damage that you take. And the cool thing about it is that each suit does something different. So clubs reduces the value of the face card attack, and then clubs will double your damage value.
Spades.
And spades. Clubs doubles your attack value. Spades reduces the damage done to you, and then hearts puts cards back in your deck, your draw deck, and diamonds let you draw cards. But like, I haven't played a co-op yet. I've only played it solo, but it seems like it'd be really cool. Really cool to play co-op.
Well, you want to talk about
and everything like that.
Game that's darn near unbeatable. Carlos and I spent a couple hours just resetting this game over and over and over again, and we were lucky to get past a couple face cards, much less on how many face cards you have in the deck.
Each face card is a boss, effectively.
exactly.
You're trying to beat all the bosses to win the game. But whenever you beat the boss, if you beat them an exact damage when you kill them, they come to your side.
Yeah.
So you're really trying to map out what I play to try to get them to my side, not just beat them.
Because you need those cards for the next boss.
Right, because if you run out of cards, you lose the game.
That's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. It's a pretty cool game, and I just discovered it this week.
Well, here's what I would recommend, Ron, because you talked about buying the game, right? I built the game.
Yeah, just mark up a deck of cards. Yeah.
No, I asked Rob. I went Theory 11. Theory 11 is a card company, a premier card deck company, and they have licenses for Star Wars and for the Avengers. So I have the Avengers deck. So what's really cool is every face card is a different either hero or villain from Avengers.
Oh, cool.
So like you see these narratives you're building, like, oh, Spider-Man's up. He's a heart. So we got to beat him, because whatever suit they are, they're immune to special abilities for that suit. So, I mean, it just kind of added this narrative flair to it. That's what I'd recommend, Ron, is use like Theory 11 to get you some cards. And I just picked up the Mandalorian set. So I got like Baby Yoda and Mando. And
Nice.
Yeah, it's awesome. But that was it. That was my thing for the week. So I'm going to be playing that a whole bunch more here.
Nice, yeah. I mean, again, like we say, it's a game that if you just want to mark up a deck of cards, I used to play a lot of poker when I was younger and was in college, and so I've got decks of cards just laying all over my house. I've got unopened. Just
I think I gave you a whole set of this, didn't I, Rob?
You did. Yeah, you gave me a whole set of these that you'd made or
the player aids and the card aids and
all that
dice to mark the damage values. And
yep. So I mean, it's one that if you don't want to go all in on if you don't want to buy the Regicide deck that they made, you can just take a deck of cards, download the rules, and mark up a deck and do it at home. So
I'm thinking you need to make some new.
Now that I have a laser system,
it's a whole new world.
You can make some Marvel, get a DC deck and have little pals and.
yeah,
a whole thing. Yeah.
All right, Ron.
The world is your oyster, Carlos.
No, wait till you get down here, man.
Man.
This laser cutter is too much fun. I got to stop.
It's cool.
Have a good night, homie.
All right, guys.
Have a good night.
Thanks for calling in, Ron. Nice to talk to you.
Did you get set up for Dice Tower? Are you set? Is that confirmed?
I don't have a hotel.
We'll figure that out.
We'll figure that out. That's the least of your worries. We'll get you somewhere.
We will figure it out. You know what? I'll bring the Ford Ranger, and we'll throw a bed in the back.
Oh yeah,
you can just
under the stars. Yeah,
I got tents and stuff, bro. We can figure this out.
No, we got it. We'll get something set up here.
Have a good night.
All right, take care.
Thanks, Ron.
That's Ron Frazier from Hot Atlanta. Can't wait to see him again in person. And actually, maybe this time spend time with him. He had his whole family with him last time he was at Dice Tower Retreat. Yep. So I really didn't interrupt him a lot. I was kind of a fanboy. I wanted to shake hands and stuff, but I didn't want to interrupt.
His channel Ron, was it Ron Gets Games?
Ron plays games.
Ron plays games.
Yeah.
Yep.
Got a caller?
Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name. Where are you calling from?
This is the third caller tonight. This is Mitchell from Louisiana. What's up?
It's ruined. You've ruined it. Third.
No, it's really Ron's fault. I sent him as proxy.
He admitted it.
I think we threw them off because we started the show with a primer conversation and didn't open up the phone lines till about 7 minutes in.
They're waiting for me. I was running late getting here tonight. I was about 5 minutes late. So, yeah, my bad.
Can't believe it.
Threw off the whole night. But what have you been up to, Mitchell?
Yeah. Well, I wanted to call in and talk about Abomination. I think that's the only new game I played in person this past week.
Okay.
And I posted up, I know, Rob, you said you had played it, Carlos, Hatton, Wayne. Have you played Abomination?
I have not yet, actually. I don't think any of the three of us have.
Yeah, I'm out.
Oh, Rob, I thought Rob, you just knew about the streamlined rules.
I own it. Yeah, I own it. And we had talked about playing it, and I'd read through the rules right about the time that the new streamlined rules were coming out, and I wanted to wait because the playthroughs and stuff I had seen were with the original rules, and so we kind of put it off, and we just never got back to it. But my daughter, she's really into that kind of morbid theme, and so she's been dying to play it every time I talk about
Not surprised. She got daddy issues.
There you go. She just wants to pull out Abomination and play it. So we're looking.
It's a really cool game. The theme is not one that piques my interest, but
sure.
The gameplay and the components are really cool. So, I mean, it's a worker placement game, but what you're trying to do is build Frankenstein monster. You're the heir of Frankenstein. And so there are different places you go to on the board that you can scavenge corpses.
Yep.
And depending on where you go, there might be more of a cost. But whenever there's more of a cost, then your body parts are fresher, and so they're going to last longer. So each round is kind of like viticulture, that it ages, only your body parts, you don't want them to age, because then it's harder to, like, bring them to life. And then, like, you can go, and you could literally murder somebody and get really fresh body parts, but then the police are going to start poking around. And so you have this board, and you're getting a head, a torso, 2 legs, and 2 arms, and they all have a certain cost in terms of muscle and bone and blood. If you want to, you can substitute in like animal organs, but it's not as ideal. And then not only do you have to create this body, then you have to put flesh on it, and then you have to like throw the switch and bring it to life with dice. It's a lot of fun. One of my favorite things is, so you can, whenever you go to pick a body part, I mean, there's a pile of all the different parts. You can pick whichever one you want, and like you could purposely make them not match. Like you could have 2 left hands and 2 right feet, stuff like that. It's really fun. It's very, very unique, and it did take a while. And it's not super heavy. It's just there's a lot of little parts you got to understand. You know, it's got some cool mechanics. Like there's a quote unquote grande worker, but it's not that kind of grande worker. It's just like certain actions can only be done with the bigger worker. I think he's the scientist, and the smaller ones are the like lab assistants. And if you push up a certain skill, then you can start upgrading your lab assistants to scientists, and they can do more powerful actions. But even if there are workers there are ways that you can put your worker where another person's worker is, but you just have to pay them money. Or like there are ways to make an action more powerful if you pay a higher cost. So it's got a lot of unique mechanics all in one, but still familiar enough that it's not too hard to wrap your mind around.
And you've got to preserve the parts on like ice. You got to buy ice, and you got to buy containers to put them in. And the ice melts, and the containers, I don't know if they go bad or they break or something. And so you're kind of going around getting all this stuff.
The ice lasts for 2 rounds. I never ended up using that because, like, what I did, I mean, I know not everybody will be this into it, but just like with viticulture, it's like I have to plan several turns ahead, because if I'm collecting these body parts, I want to make sure I'm going to be able to use them, you know, before they decompose too far. Because, like, blood, for example, blood, apparently, I don't know the science behind it, apparently it goes bad faster than organs. So, like, blood is only good for 2 rounds, whereas the rest of the organs are good for 4 rounds. So, yeah, the ice can put blood and all the other parts kind of freeze it.
And you've got all these different tracks. I see, like we're showing here, they got the humanity track. So depending on how you acquire the body parts, you can go to, I guess, the grave sites and dig them up, but the parts are already decayed. They're not as good. They go bad faster, but you don't lose as much points on the humanity scale. Or if I remember correctly, you can go into like the hospital, and in the back rooms of the hospital, you can cut deals to get body parts from the people who were in the hospital, the recently dead, which are fresher organs, but then you lose on the humanity. Right. So you've got all these little all these aspects you're balancing in the game. So
I know I shake my head when you talk, but we gotta play this.
It's funny. He's talking about this game though, like crazily. There's a lot of theme here, man.
Oh well, yeah. It's morbid, but yeah, I mean, it sounds cool. I'm into it. I dig it. Yeah.
So what we're hearing
literally digging up body parts.
He wants to dig up body parts and play Final Girl. So his theme is horror.
Oh, horror. Yeah.
It's all about
I can go with that. Yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to trying this one out. But yeah, there was just to touch on the streamlining. I guess you weren't aware, but like I say, there was some complaints when the game first came out that the end of the game could drag in the final couple rounds. Or again, I don't remember exactly how the game is laid out, but at the end it can really drag at the end depending on if people don't do the right things to push the end. So they came out with an official streamlined version that's sanctioned by the designer. Was put
The designer
out.
wrote it himself, put it out himself on BGG.
Exactly, to try to fix that.
And what's crazy is the reason I know that is I was listening to a podcast.
There you go.
While driving, getting off the exit in New Orleans towards my hotel. I remember that specific moment. I heard that because I was like, I got to tell Rob about that because he owns the game.
There you go.
If you guys are realizing you're trying to talk to Mitchell about people not pushing the end of the game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think that's really an issue.
I'm sure who you're talking about. Yeah. So,
And actually-
no surprise, I was the one that ended the game. I threw the final switch and brought the last of my monsters alive, and I stood up and yelled, "It's alive!" And it ended. I was planning that the whole game.
Nice.
But so here's the thing. It has a built-in timer, I don't remember if it's 15, 12 rounds, But I was feeling at the beginning of the game like, man, there's no way I'm going to be able to do everything I need to do before that timer runs out. Because my idea was like, just get a bunch of body parts, and at the end of this round, just like start building a lot of stuff. But the thing is, I guess it's like freezers. Maybe it's freezers you keep them in. They can only hold a certain number of parts. So if you start doing actions that get you parts and you don't have room for them, then you're going to have to discard some. But as you get your engine built, it starts getting more efficient. So you mentioned humanity a while ago. I don't remember what the three are, like humanity, intelligence, and something else. But like, I didn't care about humanity at all. Mine was literally at the lowest it could go at the end of the game. And if you get your dial all the way down to the lowest, the negative, it stays there. So I think it was negative 20 points. But because my humanity was so low, it was allowing me to, get lots of body parts in not the most moral ways. I did commit several murders.
Oh.
But because of that, my I don't know if it's called intelligence or skill, all the way to the right was going up. And so I was able to bring body parts to life better. I was able to upgrade my dice, so I had a better chance of whenever I threw the switch, that they would actually come to life. So it's like you got to balance it. And some of the other people were like, oh, I don't want my humanity to go down. But then they were sacrificing their intelligence because they weren't getting as much practice because they wouldn't, kill people to better their skill.
I'm so glad to hear that, no qualms about it.
And Mitchell's talking about it just as excited as I am, and neither one of us are theme guys, so I don't know what's going on here. This is weird. But,
what would you change about the game or improve? What was something you saw was an opportunity for the game?
Honestly, the only thing that I don't want to say confused me, but I would always forget about is like the limitation on body parts, because it's never going to work out to where you do your actions and you come out to exactly your maximum. So either you're going to be suboptimal this turn and not have as many body parts as you can get, or you're going to do an action that's going to waste some of your body parts because you have that limitation in your hold. But I think it needs to be that way, because otherwise, what's going to stop me from getting a ton of resources and ending the game immediately? Another thing, there's a little bit of a math formula you have to figure out. So there's 4 levels of body parts in terms of how much they're degraded, and each piece of the body you're trying to make has a different cost. And you look at your most degraded body part that you use to determine how many victory points you get, and then if you use animal parts to substitute, you have to substitute X number of parts. And so that doesn't sound super complicated, but remember there's 4 different kinds of body parts. And then once you build them, you then have to put skin on them. And so you flip your card to the other side, and it's another formula with different numbers. And I could see how for that part, some people might get a little lost, but I don't know any better way to do it.
The algebra on the carcasses.
Yeah, sounds complicated enough, but yeah.
Seems like a cool game, though.
Yeah, but it's fun. I recommend it.
Okay.
For a game where it's a theme that I don't like, I enjoyed it so much that if you're someone like Carlos who loves theme, I think it's going to be a no-brainer straight to the your top whatever list.
We'll have to get it to the table. I believe William actually played it. I think he got in on a. I know they did a teach of this over at Armada.
Yes.
A while back. I think it was about a year ago, and I think he went over and learned it during a demo day that they had over there. So we may have to pull him in since he's played it once before and help teach us. But yeah, we'll have to get this one to the table.
I
like it.
Complexity rating 3.25 out of 5 on BG on Board Game Geek.
BGG,
It's
yeah.
pretty heavy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not light. No.
And then now Carl. Mitchell, they're saying the game is 1.5 to 3 hours. What's your playtime looking like?
15 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't
7.9
timing
seconds.
it, but we played with 3 people with the teach setup here and everything. It was definitely under 3 hours. I would think probably without the teach, it would have been around 2, maybe.
Okay.
But it sounds like
Which is
worth the
manageable.
time.
Yes, I think so.
All right.
Cool.
Now, from Louisiana, 2 thumbs up, or 3 or 4. How many body parts were you able to find?
On it, yeah.
Doing some grave robbing in New Orleans.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, you guys have a good show later.
Have a
All
good
right,
one.
take
Thanks,
care.
Mitchell.
Sure, bye.
Mitchell from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's one we gotta get to the table. So I own that one. So I'll have to. All my games are now unpacked. They're all kind of randomly thrown on shelves at the moment. I got to start doing some sorting. But yeah, that's one we gotta get that one out.
Like a necromancer who needs to make his own friends.
Yeah,
Make some friends.
familiar with that.
Let's jump in to the chat.
Catch up on a few comments.
Phone lines open 813-618-7099.
Oh, got another call coming
Oh,
in.
not even going to let me. Let's do this. Beans and Dice Podcast. State your name and where you're calling from.
Hey, it's Connor from New Iberia, Louisiana.
Ooh,
Hey, Connor.
New Iberia in the house.
How are you?
Doing good, and you?
Doing pretty good. Pretty good.
We are swell.
What have you been up to?
Nothing much. So I got two things I want to cover. One's gonna be real quick, and it's kind of some sad news on my end of it. I finally lost the game of Arc Nova.
No.
Streak is over.
You should
Finally
so.
figured it
You should have retired early, man.
Yeah.
Should have retired early.
I know. I did a couple weeks ago. I did a one-on-one game against Jeremy's wife, and she took me into the ground. It was pretty depressing.
Wow.
But I realized what it was. Oh, come on. I realized what it was, so I can fix it for next time, but it's been a struggle. So
All right,
I'm no longer undefeated. Someone has bested me.
Before we jump off of that, we got to mention that Carlos and I think we kind of put it out there a little bit already, but we played again our second game each. We didn't play in the same game. At game day this last Saturday, we were able to set up 2 tables. We had 2 3-player games. Carlos taught 2 new players, and I taught 2 new players, and we each got our second experience. As I think most people know who've watched the channel, neither one of us were huge fans of Arc Nova. I liked it. I didn't love it. Carlos was kind of on it, but I'll let you start, Carlos. What was your opinion after 2 plays now?
It's, we did 2 games at one time, so it was like twice the meh. It's still
Still not loving it, huh?
Yeah.
I'm not disliking it. I'm just not seeing it.
Yeah, not loving it.
Right. And it's because I feel, and you know what? I don't know. I still don't know exactly what it is that makes me say meh other than I feel meh.
Yeah.
Connor, why do you love this game?
So it kind of stems, and I mean, this was kind of like known forever ago. The whole argument between how much similarity is there between Terraforming Mars and this game, because of the fact because I played Terraforming Mars into the ground 1v1 games like repeatedly, easily, around 500 games. I love Mars so much, and so playing this game and seeing a lot of the similarities of Mars after doing a couple plays, I'm like, I can get behind this game very easily. Also, I just love like any game that's super asymmetric and that you can have like a million different customization and a million different ways of strategy. I love those games.
Okay.
I'll give you asymmetric because your zoos are all going to be different. I'll give you variety because that deck is huge, and every game will be different. What you get will be different.
Similar to Terraforming Mars in some small ways. I was expecting it to be more similar when I played it the first time after hearing everybody make the comparisons. I can obviously see the card play, the tableau, having to match up certain symbols on previously played cards to be able to then play cards later. Managing your hand, I can see that similarity. Overall, though, I wouldn't say the games are all that similar. Just to get it out of the way, my opinion after 2 plays is I liked it quite a bit more on my second play with the teach of 2 new players and playing it at 3 players instead of 4, as we talked about before that first play with 6 hours.
And I will say, in terms of like for people that have an issue with the timing of the game, like I know Mitchell said, the length of this game is what killed it for him. In a 2-player game with both players that know how to play it and are just like running through it, it's pretty short.
Yeah, I could see. Carlos and I are going to give it a shot again. So one of the guys from our group, was it which?
Diego let us borrow it.
Let us
It's
borrow
right
a
up
copy.
here on the shelf.
So Carlos and I, in the next week or so, are going to look to play a 2-player game. Now that we both know how to play, we both played it twice, and I could see us knocking this out in an hour and a half with 2-player if we keep it moving. So we both want to do that again, just to see if I like it even more at an hour as opposed to 3 hours. I like it a lot better. It's still not Terraforming Mars to me. I have Terraforming Mars on a pretty good pedestal, but
I have to get this to the table. I want to play it because it's funny because there are people either love it,
yeah,
or they're like, and it's like, and it's funny because all the hype of this game just came out. It's already top 15 of all time games, right?
Yeah, a little crazy.
And so there's a hype train that's unstoppable with this, but then like I was watching the Weekly Alaboom with Lance Meister, and the guy from Grey Fox Games and like 3 or 4 other game people were just like, hey, yeah, we played this at Geekway of the West, and it sucked.
I'm hearing a lot more meh reviews lately.
Like the guy who owns Grey Fox Games was talking about it. He's like, look, it's a great game. I can understand it. He's like, but I played a game of it and I ended up at like negative 19 points. And I'm like, that was 3 hours of my life wasted.
Wow, how amazing is that? That the score you got at the end makes you feel like it's 3 hours wasted.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So there is like, there's 2 camps now, right? So there's it's the greatest game of all time, and it's nah. And so I need, like, where is it? And I think it's going to settle somewhere in between probably. But, there's a growing number of people on various podcasts and various reviewers going, this game's good, but it's not necessarily getting
not top 50 of all time.
Not top 15 now. It's 15 it is.
Yeah, I think that's going to...
That whole thing is...
Well, Connor,
scary.
that was your bad news.
What's
the good news?
Yeah.
So, all right. So the good news is I finally decided I'm gonna put on my big boy britches. I'm gonna start actually working towards expanding my game collection on my own and not getting hand-me-downs. So I went to we have a store. I don't know if this is a nationwide store, if it's just around here, but we have like this like bargain outlet place called Ollie's.
I've heard of it. I
think we have one in Tampa now.
Is there one in Tampa? Okay, I haven't seen that one yet, but
okay.
I've heard of them.
So we have one in Lafayette. And I decided to just go in there and see, if there's any board games that might look kind of decent. And I actually found a couple of different ones that seemed interesting that were, anywhere between $5 and $15.
Sure.
And so I saw one that piqued my interest that I ended up picking up and playing today, actually, called Dojo. I think it's Kun or Kun. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly. It's like DOJO space KUN. After playing one game, it's essentially Karate Kid, the board game.
Okay. All right.
And I say that as far as like thematics go, it's basically Karate Kid the board game, but it's a little bit more like ancient than that, I guess you would say it. And so the whole point of the game is that you're playing as one of the 4 like elemental dojos: Earth, Wind, Fire, Air. Or was it Earth, Wind, Water, Fire? There we go. You're playing as one of the 4 elemental dojos, and you're trying to basically just have the most prestige, win in the most tournaments, or having the highest placement in tournaments. Okay. You play the game over 2 seasons with 2 separate tournaments happening. What's really cool is that, solo, which is why I ended up playing, there's an AI that is even still played in multiplayer games called the Void Dojo, which are basically just like a shadow version of yourself that you're trying to fight against. And it's a pretty simple like worker placement game. And your workers are the fighters that you're trying to recruit to your dojo that you also bring to the tournament. So you kind of get like, 2 birds with 1 stone kind of deal, which is really interesting. And for $5, I figured, even if it's really bad, it's only $5. But it ended up actually being pretty good. And I think BGG said it's like a 7.2 or something like that.
I'm actually pulling it up right now. We just thought to jump over to it, so I'm getting it here on the side screen, but it's a 7.0 on BGG. Overall rank 25-27, says 60 to 90 minutes, 1 to 4 players.
It's a 7, and you got it for $5 at Ollie's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So,
sold.
Oh yeah,
not bad.
Should have bought a couple copies.
Carlos has got the newfangled things here, so I'm gonna share screen.
Yeah, I got the new setup with the StreamYard. This software is fun, bro. We need an engineer to run it.
Yeah. We need a 4th person here.
Now the folks at home can see it. Dojo Kun.
KUN. Yeah, I haven't heard of it, but 7.0 is not a bad rating, and 60 to 90 minutes is a little longer.
It's a CMON game.
Yeah, CMON is a CMON Global. Yeah.
It honestly, like, it really wouldn't be that long, especially the two, because like in my solo play, and again, this is my first time playing it. It took me about an hour to get through it. But I'm thinking by myself, now that I know how to play it, I could probably bang out a solo game in like 30 minutes. Because there's essentially like 2 phases of each round. So the game's played over 6 rounds. There's 3 rounds a season. You can kind of see in the top left of the game board, they have like a little round marker. And so it's kind of like if you ever played Roar and Write, it's kind of the same concept. You do 3 rounds, and then that third round the fourth round is your tournament.
So like
the fourth round, you're building up fighters.
Like you said, like a rolling, like a King of Tokyo rolling where you roll 3 times.
No. Like 3 rounds. I was saying like Dinosaur Rolling Right, how there's like 3 rounds that you're building your engine, you're trying to get stuff going, and then you would run it.
Oh, I think I fell asleep through that one.
Oh yeah, I think you probably did.
Yeah.
That looks fun.
Anyway, like so you're basically yes.
That's the Hulk. That's the Hulkster. That's TJ Balls.
It looks like a TJ Balls. It looks just like the Hulk.
It looks like it's the Hulk, and then looks like
Avatar.
Avatar. Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, that's definitely the Sub-Zero there.
Sub-Zero.
Totally Avatar.
So these BGG photos that I'm seeing on your stream is not the same edition I have.
Oh, okay.
It's the same game though, right?
Same game, same concept. So a lot of the iconography is exactly the same. They kind of just update some of the symbols and the colors and everything.
Yeah, but they got TJ Balls.
I wonder if this was like maybe an Asian game or that got.
Because Simon's based out of, I think, China, right?
And they brought the game over to States, and maybe some of the photos are there's Walker Texas Ranger and Tank Girl.
Yeah,
or something.
a Tank Girl.
But
that looks cool.
So yeah, basically like your whole goal is like just get as many points, get really cool fighters. So you're recruiting fighters to your dojo. If you look, you can see like the 4 colors on different fighter cards. The number is corresponding to how many dice of that color you're rolling, and it helps you fight. The combat is probably the most like intricate part because the worker placement, building engines, getting fighters is pretty simple. You just place a worker, you do what it says, you make your fighter stronger. You go to the tournament, that's where things get a little complicated, and so you can kind of on the game board. There's one. It's like this weird like squiggly line where half of it's black, half of it's white, and that's like that. So that's your one-on-one fight that you're doing against other players, or possibly against the Void Dojo. And so you have to constantly like manage. There's 4 different symbols. There's like a punch, a block, a jump, a grab, and they all like cancel each other out. And so you're trying to get more than the other. And it's this weird, huge math puzzle that's kind of hard to explain without like pointing to it and telling you what to do or showing you an image of.
Yeah, it looks like there's a fair enough going on. Again, I know it's a different version that we're seeing here on the images that we have, but there's quite a bit going on these boards. There's different tracks to push. There's different little charts and graphs and things. So yeah, it seems like it's not not particularly light. I'm not guessing.
Connor,
it's a fairly
everything you're describing just kind of reminds me of Dice Thrones, and we played Dice Thrones together in Louisiana when Rob and I went out there for that convention. How would you rank it? So for the folks at home, to kind of give them an idea, how would you rank it to Dice Thrones?
Or have you played Dice Throne?
He was with us.
Oh, was he? Oh, that's right. He played with us. Yeah.
Damn, Rob, is it the Connor from Louisiana? Come on, bro.
Oh, I know who it is.
Get it together.
I know who it is.
Bartender, cut him off.
I forgot that you had played that with us in Louisiana. But go ahead.
So this compared to Dice Throne, it's kind of, I don't know. I guess if I had to choose which of the 2 games is better, I'd probably say Dice Throne is a little better, only because I can pick my asymmetric person. The people in Dice Throne are way more asymmetric than the people in the Dojo game. I will say Dojo-kun is much heavier than Dice Throne. Dice Throne's pretty actually straightforward, more straightforward than this game. The combat's more straightforward in Dice Throne. So, but for a game for as cheap as I got it, Dojo-kun's pretty good.
Okay.
If I paid retail price, which I think retail price is like
that's
$50.
That's a dang valid point, Connor. For the price point, it's not quite Dice Thrones, but it makes it even more worth it. Whereas Dice Thrones is going to cost you so much money just to get.
Mm-hmm.
For an eighth of the price, you can get Dojo-kun.
Ron Fraser says that he believes Tom Vassell did a review on it and liked the game, so that's pretty good. That's if Tom's played it and give it a favorable review.
It looks like 2016 he reviewed it.
Okay, cool.
And then BJ from Board Game Gumbo says, this Connor guy's accent sounds like he could be from Lafayette, Louisiana.
New Iberia, he's close.
Yeah, so Dojo Kun. So Dojo Kun, that one is from 2016 or 2015. Got the Seal of Excellence from Vassal.
Nice.
Seal of Excellence
Yeah.
for $5 at Ollie's?
Yeah.
Or 15.
There you go,
whatever it
folks.
was, yeah.
This game,
Absolutely.
like, thinking about it, is fighting for dojos, using different fighting styles and different elements. I'm like, in my head, I'm just thinking, man, this should have been themed like the Shaw Brothers Kung Fu movies from like,
Oh, yeah.
like the Sunday Morning Kung Fu, and, just that would be awesome.
Something with some bad lip syncing.
Yeah.
And, what was that movie? The old
Kung Pao.
Enter the Fist.
But
That was
I
it.
mean, I grew up watching Sunday morning
Yeah.
Kung Fu.
Yeah.
I think Connor's too young to even know what.
probably
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
I'm
He's
showing
about
my age
20
there.
years behind us.
I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to catch up.
When we only used to have like 5 channels, we used to.
And one of them was off. On, off.
And then one and two.
Yeah, but that looks cool.
So,
And $5.
Ultimately, for anybody like that was just like me, that because I used to hate going, like I would go like to Walmart or something and see board games, were like, oh, well, I already have this, or oh, this is way too expensive for this kind of game. So now I know, hey, if I see a discount market, go there, see there's board games. There's a good chance there's one that's super cheap that is actually going to be pretty decent. For
I
the
think
price.
Nice.
Barry from our game group here locally picked up The Godfather from Ollie's
Oh, did he?
on sale.
Wow.
At one point, like they dumped some stock there. I mean, that's a CMON game.
Yeah.
They just dumped stock to Ollie's.
That was Eric Lang. Yeah.
All right, Connor.
All right, well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks for calling, Connor. Don't be a stranger.
Man, anytime you can pick up
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
a game like that for $5.
Oh, yeah.
You just feel good. It just feels good.
Yeah.
That's a steal. Yeah.
Let's go through some of the comments in the board that we missed. I know the phone line is kind of open. If
Yeah, I was
you
gonna say
know-
we're right at 10
maybe
o'clock. But if we got a short last minute caller, if you want to call in and get something in front of us,
I'm not going to post the number up, so you got to know it.
Yeah, you gotta have it memorized by now, or you're out.
Let's go through some of these comments real quick.
All the way to the top.
Right at the beginning. First, when you weren't here yet, Rob.
Oh, Rob better be taking his
Rob
turn
better
on
be-
BGA. Yeah, Mr. Jeeves in the games with
Hopefully
us.
that's why you were.
He's probably
you were
talking about
late.
Castles of Burgundy.
Oh yeah, it could be. I'm getting my butt kicked at Castles of Burgundy, but I finally figured it out. Now I'm keeping up now that I've remembered all the rules. But and I got to say here on the side, Wayne brings this computer over here, and he's about 50% of the time he's on BGG looking stuff up. The other 50% of the time I'm looking over there, he's playing his turn on BGA. So good man.
I've
Good man.
resisted for a while.
Oh, yeah.
I have about a bunch of games. Yeah,
Yeah, I saw you in
BGA
there,
and stuff,
yeah.
You can only resist so long. It's
Yeah.
futile.
Yep.
It's futile.
All
And
right, what
then
else we got?
one of the first comments was Breakout. I was trying to remember the name of the game. One of those first
That's
video
it,
games
yes.
where you try to
Oh, you're knocking
pong
the blocks. Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Breaking the
actually,
blocks.
the person that made the comment there, come to find out, Rich Yassi, is Gaddy.
Yep.
Gaddy 19.
Yep.
Oh, from BGA.
He just recently joined the Beans and Dice group online. Let's take a peek here. Beans and Dice podcast. State your name and where you're calling from. Hello, Beans and Dice.
Mr. Jeeves.
Kyle, my man, the Jeeves himself. How are you, sir?
I know you guys are wrapping up the show. I just wanted to call in real quick.
That's kind of why we left that line open. We figured we can get somebody that already knows the number.
How you been?
I'm actually having a glass in my grind tavern as we speak.
We're having a little trouble with the connection. I don't know if you're in a bad area. It's coming and going. We're hearing about every other word.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, that's it. We got you cleared
Something
now.
about
Yep.
wine, I think.
Yeah, I was having a glass of wine in my Grande Meatball Tavern.
Oh, he's got the
there we
tavern
go.
sign.
There we
You
go.
got to post a photo in the group for that.
Oh yeah,
man.
yeah. I need to post that up with a glass of wine sitting in front of the sign. That'd be awesome.
Well, I'm actually reorganizing a room in my basement to be my photography workstation / game room.
Sweet.
So once I've finished it and get the sign hung up, I'll take pictures and send them over to the group.
Okay, do that. That'd be awesome.
Nice.
I'm glad
So,
it made it up
yeah,
there.
thanks again, Carlos. That was pretty awesome. Pretty awesome.
No, the randomness of you winning it was pretty awesome. That's, and I think you were the one that when I put the poll up, should I do vertical or horizontal? Kyle was the one who was like, no, I think vertical will work. And I actually like the vertical sign better than the horizontal one.
There you go.
I currently have the horizontal one up in my.
Yeah, he's got it
game
hanging right
room.
over here above the the TV over here on the side. Yep.
Nice. I know that my wife was more of a fan of the one that you sent me, so
Sweet.
I'm glad that's the one I got to get because she was a big fan of that one.
Happy wife, happy life.
So, exactly.
I live that motto.
So yeah, I just wanted to thank you, and just wanted to say like we gotta keep playing these games on BGA because it's pretty much my gaming life right now.
Well,
taking my turn in the other and.
Get the games in however you can, whether it's in person. In person's always better. I think most of us would agree. But when you can't do that, any way to stay in contact with the board games is the way to go.
Have no fear. I'll be creating games left and right on BGA because
he keeps putting them out there.
I'm in like the most stressful few weeks of my life at work, and like the ability to look over my I have 3 monitors to look at the third monitor and see that icon.
But it's your turn.
It forces me to stop working for 2 minutes and go make a turn because I'm doing a lot of stressful life at work. And being able to turn and take a couple of things on BGA is saving my life from being just overly stressed right now. So all y'all that are playing in the games I'm posting, thank you so much because it's keeping me a sane individual. So.
Well, I appreciate the proactiveness of people posting games like, "Hey, this table's open. Let's play this." Or "Hey, I've never played this before." You guys are like, "Let's do it." And it just.
People are jumping
to get
in there. I'm missing out on opportunities. I'll see somebody post something, and I go to get in, and it's already full. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, I guess I'll catch the next one.
If there's any viewers that go into the Discord, there's always games going. It's awesome. And we've got lots of players all the time. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's a good group. It's a good group.
Now, what are you finding more of your interest? The deeper games, the more strategic, longer games, or are you finding the quicker filler games to be more of your liking?
So I like to have a good mix.
Me too.
The thing is, with the deeper thinking games, my issue is that I don't have a lot of time to sit down and watch a how-to video. I have a little bit of time to do that, so I don't want to have too many of the deeper thinking games going that I haven't played before. Is what I mean. If I've played the game before, I'm all about it. But I played Gaia Project.
Oh yeah,
and it burned my brain. It was a lot to handle. If I was playing it in person at an actual table with some people, I think I could have processed the mechanics a little bit better. But when you're trying to do asynchronous turns and you're coming back and wait, what am I doing? What's the point of going? It can throw you off,
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a little tricky.
I got a little worried about you because I knew you were probably one of the biggest viticulture fans in our group. And we started that viticulture game on BGA, you, me, and Mortex, also known as Wayne here with us. And I'm watching you at the bottom of the scores for 2/3 of the game or more. You were at the bottom of the score.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to beat this guy. He's supposed to be the viticulture guy.
Yeah. He almost made the comeback, and then I had that last. Yeah.
No, let me share the screen here. We'll give the final record, so we get the record on the books here. But dude, you went sailing past
Carlos,
me.
you got stopped.
I was leading.
I was leading the whole way.
Well, I was up there with you. It was like a point or two behind.
Okay.
But once we hit that 10-point mark, they went from 10 to 20 flat.
Really?
I just couldn't figure it out.
Stepped on.
And I had the math worked out. I'm like, okay, I think he's got a 6-point swing in this last round, so he's going to end on 22.
Oh.
Can I get to 23?
Eke out 23?
And I figured out a way to rip up roots and then claim a spot to give me the one more point. And,
wow.
Yeah, it was good. It was great. It was a good game.
All out.
Yeah.
I made one or two missteps where I could have maybe scored an extra point or two that could have brought me right there with you. But
that was a good game.
Afterwards, I was like, it was so close.
I've had that. I've had several games in BGA where I'm like, I lost by 1 point. I just love it. But I'm the same way. The ones I played Dungeon Pets this week on BGA, and I've always wanted to play the game because I heard it's very thematic and it's basically a worker placement game. And oh man, I got stomped so bad. Like everyone else, you can get messed up pretty good in that game.
Well, I agree with you 100% on the learning. I mean, I like the deeper games, and I'm finding a good balance. I like the games that I can just play a quick turn whenever I'm at work. I just want to take a 2-minute break. I can just jump in. Can't Stop, Lost Cities, a couple other games that we're playing. I see it's my turn there. I got you.
Yeah, I introduced BGA and Can't Stop to some friends of mine.
Yeah.
and now they're hooked on it. One of my friends, he even got his wife to sign up for an account, and she's addicted to Can't Stop now.
Nice.
And she's not a huge board game person, and she is just going nuts over it. She's just like, so when are we playing our version, our game of Can't Stop? I'm like, hey, hit me up, let's do it.
Yeah, and I'm liking the deeper games too. I'm playing where I'm in a game of Blood Rage right now with some of these guys, and then I'm in a game of
nice.
Castles of Burgundy, and I'm liking both of those.
I am
yeah.
addicted to Castles of Burgundy right now. Like,
Great game.
I'm itching to buy it.
On BGA?
I'm like, there's something so
We're part of
satisfying about building your duchy, I think is what it's called.
Yeah.
And just laying all the tiles out and racking up those points. And this is probably my third or fourth game of Castles of Burgundy, and I want more.
Yeah, it's a game I haven't played. I hadn't played it probably in about 6 or 7 or 8 years. It had been a long time since I'd played it, and I'd only played it a couple of times. And it was one of those that at the time when I played it, I would have said it was one of my top 10 games of all time. If you'd have asked me in the last 3 or 4 years, I'd have said, oh, yeah, it's probably 30, 40, 50 in my, my top 100.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we played it again on BGA, I think it's back up there, probably close to my top 10 of all time again.
There's
a reason.
It's top 3 for me, man.
It's so
I love
good.
that game so much.
There's a reason they're coming out with the Super Uber Deluxe.
And I'm
the third
day one backer of that.
Yeah, the third time they've redone it in the last couple of years. Yeah,
I have my original copy.
I'm so scared of the price tag.
I don't care. I'm buying it.
I didn't realize I owned it.
Oh yeah,
I was.
Right.
Y'all can see the background looks a little different.
Yeah.
I went through it and kind of reorganized some of the games so you can see more of my titles. People were telling me that they like to look through the shelves and kind of see what games I own. And down in the bottom left corner, I had no idea. In shrink, a copy of Castles of Burgundy back there behind the Crooked Holdings.
My God.
So I got to get that one to the table. So when it comes to the deeper games, I have to really know the game.
Right. That's what I was
Because what I'm finding is even Blood Rage, as much as I played it, because I haven't played it in so long, I am struggling on the online version.
Yep.
To kind of figure out what the heck am I doing?
Because you're not seeing it all out in front of you. You're having to scroll around the screen a little bit, especially me playing all on the phone. I'm having to constantly zoom in on stuff, zoom out on stuff, remind myself, hold on, what does that chit mean? And then I have to think about it for a minute. Oh, yeah, that's where Ragnarok is getting ready to happen. So, some things like that when you're playing on the table, you just see it there.
Yep.
When you're scrolling around a screen, you've got to stop and pause and zoom in on things. So it's the more complicated games, I was going to say I agree 100% that I don't think I want to learn any game that's more complicated than maybe Lost Cities or Can't Stop. I mean, what did we play? We played the bird with Q-Birds.
Q-Birds is fun.
So I learned that one. That one was pretty light. Although my first game I got destroyed because I really didn't know how all the mechanics were working. Even though that is a very, very simple game, and by the second time I felt completely comfortable with it. But anything more complicated than just a gateway type game, I don't think I'd want to learn it on BGA. I'd want to play it in person and then maybe jump into BGA afterwards.
Yeah,
so.
I think simpler games I've learned, but I don't mind getting trounced. Like the Dungeon Pets game, I wanted to try it, so now I've tried it, and I go, I really want to get this to the table now. I really want to play this game.
Okay.
I was horrible at it. I didn't understand what was going on.
Yep.
But I kind of understand the basic premise of the game. I played it. I got killed. Who cares?
No, I think I'm going to stick to my rule is if it's big, I'm going to learn it on the tabletop. And if it's something that's big and I haven't played it in a while, I'm going to do it on the tabletop before I try it on BGA again.
Yeah. And I think
I'm not as okay with getting trounced.
But I also like a lot of the rolling rights, like Draftosaurus. I played a ton of games of that, and Railroad Ink, and so I like those. They're fun, and Q-Birds.
Yeah, I was just going
to. There's a Copenhagen. I learned that's another easy tile placement game. And
I was just going to comment on Wayne also saying that learning games on there just real quick. That I think the designers and the publishers are relying on that people will just jump into a new game and then they'll find out, hey, I like this. Maybe I want to pick this up and really dive into it. So that's my thought is why a lot of these are out there for free on BGA. But
yeah.
I think that's a fantastic observation because, like I said, Castles of Burgundy, I would have never given it the time of day.
Yeah.
I played it on BGA, and I'm like, I want this game in my collection.
Yeah,
I want to own it, and I wasn't considering it before. So it's just, and it was an easy avenue for me to be able to play it.
Yeah,
I'm playing a lot of stuff I haven't played before. I just played a Super Fantasy Brawl.
That's a throwback.
Never even heard of it.
I like that one.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
And I know Wayne and I.
My buddy and I were like, "Well, this is really interesting." My buddy who I was playing with, who lives in California, he was already looking it up on Amazon. He's just like, "Oh, I want to see how where I can get this game."
Nice, got it.
I wonder if they can pull the data up. How many recent plays of a certain game, and then increase in Amazon sales for that game?
Trigger to buy it.
I guarantee you that data's out there.
There's a correlation.
Like as it comes out, like I'm going to pick up a physical copy of Nidavellir.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to pick up a physical copy of Cacao.
Nidavellir was at game day this weekend. We had game day. Nidavellir was out there. I
There's
didn't
a
get a
group
chance to play
playing
it.
that.
I played that one on BGA and regretted playing it on BGA.
Fun game.
Nidavellir, really?
I did. Not because of the game itself, but because of the system. I didn't know what I was doing.
Okay. But once you learn how to play it, now you're like, okay. Now
I still don't feel like I know how to play
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Like, I got to get to actual tabletop.
We'll have to play it.
But I think part of the problem is Kyle, much like me, we're kind of in similar situations. Jeeves, also known as Kyle sometimes, in Chicago.
Sometimes.
We both have very young babies in home right now. And I'm still not getting sleep like that I need. So my brain is already foggy. And making decisions on the BGA feels so different than making decisions at the tabletop. You know, I can't ask you for your thoughts on or clarify how a mechanism works before I make a decision.
Yep. That would be my one thing about big complex games is I learn by watching what you do and watching your board. And when I play it on BGA, I focus on my board only. Yeah. And I'm not really paying it. So that's the one learning disconnect that I have is I'm not seeing what you guys are doing. I'm only looking at myself. But
let's do Arnak, but let's do it the way we do on the show before, where we do after hours. We all get together and play live play.
That would be cool.
Because then we can talk. And
that's fun.
See, that's a way to learn a game.
Yeah, I'm down for doing
and
live
then we
plays
go
on Discord
async.
too. Yeah, I'm down for that too.
That works.
All right, well, it's good to hear from you, Kyle. It's been a
called
while since we heard from you in
Thanks for
person.
taking my call. I know it's running past the hour, so.
But that was the whole purpose. We saved that last little bitty phone call for someone that knew the number by heart.
Yeah, somebody special to get in. So, yeah.
All right. You guys have a good night.
Thanks for calling. You have a good night, too.
Take care.
Bye.
Yep. All right, bye-bye.
Cool. There we go.
All right, let's. I blocked the phone now. Let's wrap up some of the comments in the board, and then we'll get into wrapping up the show and then recording our podcast for this weekend. Let's see here. Getty, that's where I was at. Getty is Rich Yassi. Getty's into the BGA. He got me into my first tournament, helped me set up for that. So I will be into a Railroad Inc. tournament for the first time ever.
Nice.
Super excited about that. Kyle, also known as Mr. Jeeves. Toys That Made Us is great. That's a throwback to earlier in our conversation. We were talking about the Netflix documentaries we were watching that had to do with gaming. Doc Rock's pay.
Being late. Yeah, late.
His $0 pay is going to be Doc.
We'll take a third of that.
And okay, so Motive Force is welcoming people in, and again, another week in a row. My father up in New York right now watching the show, talking about how when I was a baby, that him and my mom would go to the pizza place and play Space Invaders, and it was his favorite, Pac-Man. Pac-Man and Space Invaders. So it's kind of that throwback to the conversation earlier about the high scores documentary. So that's pretty cool to know. I can't do Space Invaders, man. It's so hard.
All those games are meant to be hard.
Yeah.
Diego got a copy of Planet Unknown this week. He's going to play it this weekend. So that's the public sandwich tray Lazy Susan game that Mike Lorenzo talked about earlier today.
Yep.
Bryson says hi. Hey, Bryson. I'm surprised you're still up at night, but hey, go for it. That was Mitch coming in. Let's see. This was Love the Art. That had to do with Mitchell, and he was talking about, it was
Connor, I think, was talking about that. I think, I saw him. He posted that when Connor was talking about the fighting game, the Dojo Kun.
And there's Connor on the phone there. Ron Fraser talking about Arc Nova not being appealing, and he really doesn't know what it is. I had a comment on Arc Nova, so I'm glad I got back to Ron to make me think about it. For me, what I think it is, Rob, with Arc Nova that's not clicking for me is there's not the combo-y goodness. Combo-y goodness?
Sure. Yeah.
So in Terraforming Mars, I will tap a card to gain a cube, to place it on another card, to tap that card, to trigger and get the mega credit thing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I create these daisy chains of events. I have not seen that happen in Arc Nova yet. Have you seen
Not so much. I'm
a
trying to
comboing of cards, even a tapping of cards to do something?
Not card-wise. I mean, they've got that polyomino thing where you can take a build action to then place something on the board that allows you to maybe cover up something that moves you up on the reputation track, which then lets you either upgrade a card or get an extra worker. So but those instances are very few and far between, maybe once or twice a game. that you can combo something into something else. But yeah, Terraforming Mars, even though I wouldn't call that a combo-tastic game, there are definitely is a lot more of that, especially when you play that game. And that's a kind of a strategy in Terraforming Mars. I do very little of that.
I like that strategy.
I don't like the cubes and moving the cubes and doing that. I like building a huge tableau of a bunch of cards. So that's just a different way to play Terraforming Mars. But yeah, there's more opportunity for that, I think, definitely in Terraforming Mars than Arc Nova.
And that might be for me why I feel like it's more static. I play a card and it just lays there.
Yeah, pretty much.
It lays there and it gives me some tags.
Yep, until the end. A few of them have some in-game scoring that you come back to at the very, very end, but not many. Yeah.
And then Rich Yassi comes in, and this is where he introduces himself as Getty19. And he wanted to check in and say hi. And again, we wanted to welcome you to the podcast on Discord. And thank you for welcoming us into the BGA world that you're all into, teaching us about Board Game Arena and online gaming. So really appreciate that. Wayne says, welcome aboard. And let's see here. What else we got? We talked about Connor. We talked about Tom Vassell reviewing it. Board Game Gumbo says Dojo K is the Beyond the Sun of Dice Zone games. Oh, wow. Wayne with more beer. Love Wayne.
Yeah, he's
he
refilling
brings the beer.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's not a twist off. I'm trying to twist a pop top. There we go. Thank you, Wayne.
Mitchell says Blood Rage on BGA has been interesting. Interesting is a word I would use. Exciting would not be that word yet.
I don't know. Exciting. Maybe it's just probably because I haven't played Blood Rage in a while. But there have been a couple of moments I'm like, ooh, all right, here we go.
I haven't played it, but I saw you playing it last week, last week, and the implementation on BGA looks cleaner and clearer and a better understand than the Steam version. I own the Steam version, and I tried to do the tutorial, and I was like, that's too much going on. They rely too much on animation and try to pop it.
No, BGA's pretty.
And where it's like it's just so
it's just the game.
I haven't played it, but I think I'd rather play it on BGA than on Steam because
I would rather have a 2D rendering of the board game as a digital implementation than a graphically animated version.
Yeah.
Right? I don't want the animation. I want to play the board game just in digital space.
Exactly. I agree.
I think they went over the top of the Steam version. Yeah.
Gay says he's looking for one more for Vecto Race. I think I accepted an invite to Vecto Race.
I'll start it.
I don't know that one. Yeah.
Do you remember those the graph paper racing game? You would move out a certain number X Y, depending on your speed. You would have to move X Y. Oh,
never did that.
It kind of reminds me of that.
Huh.
Exodus says, and I believe Exodus is Connor. He needs to start playing these BGA games. Yep, Connor, check us out on the channel.
Yeah, get in there. Bunch of us playing.
Let's see here. Rich says, thanks, Carlos, for pronouncing my name correctly. Most people don't. So that's Getty.
Yassi?
Yep. Rich Yassi, also known as Getty on the Discords. And Mitch says, Kyle, it's your turn on Downforce.
Go!
Wow.
Man, Mitchell played the number 8 movement card right from the beginning and just ran out. And he's trying to get us stay at the head.
Trying to burn it. Well, everybody's got to burn him down then.
Yeah.
Mitchell noticed when I put up the scores for Viticulture that it did take me 3 whole days to play through Viticulture.
Oh.
They sync, though.
It ran over a weekend. And in my house, weekends are so busy.
No.
Like, I know for most people, their weekends are like time they can catch up on that kind of stuff. But I'm up from morning to night just doing family stuff. So it's rough.
You got to hit that next one because that was a first time ever play for me that I got into it. I believe I won that game. It was a 4-player game of For Sale. I've never played it before, and I snuck from behind. I was in last place about half the game, and then I snuck up. I finally learned what I was doing, and I believe I was either first or second. I think I won that one, but Ron got smoked. I think he promoted and started that game, and he finished last.
What is For Sale?
For Sale is an older game,
yeah,
and it's awesome though because it's basically it's 2 rounds. The first round you're bidding on properties. You have a certain amount of money and you're bidding on properties, and the bidding mechanism is cool because everyone keeps bidding and increasing the bid. But once you pass, you lose half your bid, but you get the lowest ranked house on the market. Then the second half of the game, you're selling or you're basically selling those houses or using those houses to get contracts, get more money.
It's a little bit like Biblios.
I was just feeling it. I was just feeling that.
But I think it's older than Biblios.
I'm sure it is. I say Biblios may have stole a little something from For Sale. Yeah.
And it's we're in a 6-person version. It's me, Mitchell, Mr. Jeeves, Ben, Getty, a few others. So it's a good game. It's
fun.
It's a classic
really
auction
light.
bidding game. Really light. There's 2 phases to it. because in that first phase you're all bidding for properties, and then you got to try to remember who bid and got one properties, and it's like 1 to 30. And so if you have the 30, you're going to win. But once that's out, well, I have 29, so now I can win an auction. So it's a really good game.
Yep.
Yeah, we love it.
It's fun.
Rich says, Can't Stop is a perfect BGA gateway. I tell you, that's...
Yeah.
Okay, the first BGA game I played was Chocolate Factory, but it was live with Mitch. He was teaching it, so it was very easy. But the first async game that I played was Can't Stop with Wayne.
Addicting.
And then I think I made like 5 boards on my laser cutter so far to play the game at home. So yeah, he's right. It is a great starter.
Tom Bass was looking at Chocolate Factory the other day. He was going through I don't know if y'all saw, he got that big, huge board game collection.
Yes.
And Chocolate Factory's in there. He was like, all right game, but a lot more fun to upgrade. And he showed his blinged out version of it.
That collection of board games,
yeah,
great.
That was insane.
Did you watch the video of that?
The upgrade
hour
you
and a
did?
half of him going
he had
through.
an hour. They bought a game collection for someone who was moving out of Florida, and it was like a couple hundred games.
Yeah,
and he just went through it live,
every game.
unboxing it, and the Memoir 44 collection. That this guy
he owns everything ever made for him.
You
know how much it costs to get into that
stacks
stuff now?
and stacks of boxes.
You
of
have
Memoir
to watch
44.
that video because you'll cry over this is impossible to get. He had the strategy.
Tom was excited. Tom was like giddy. It's like,
I have the strategy guide book. I have the Memoir 44 book.
He had like 4 or 5 different.
Oh,
jeez. Watch the video.
I'll be hosting it. By the way, I'll be hosting a tournament August 20th here in Tampa, Florida, or at Zephyr Hills, Florida, at your turn for Memoir 44. If you're into it and you want to play a tournament here in Florida, we're going to make that happen. And Richard Borg, from I understand, Richard Borg, the designer, will be there.
I'm
check
there.
it out. Let's see. BJ from Borg and Gumbo says, big crowdfunding project for Castles of Burgundy Deluxe is coming soon.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. And I know Wayne's trying to make some decisions here.
I'm waiting for that
There's no
price
decision.
point. I'm waiting
There's
for the
no
price.
decision.
Well, if
There
Wayne
is-
gets it, I may not have to buy it. Then,
I will be buying it day one, and
I'll play Wayne's version.
there you go.
Super Deluxe tricked out with recessed boards and bigger tiles.
Yep.
It's
That's
the
me.
one
I'm there.
everybody wanted for the anniversary edition. So yeah,
I didn't buy that. I have my original copy from I don't know, 15 years ago,
Back in the day.
So I will upgrade that.
Mitchell says, yeah, I like looking at the games behind you when someone goes on a long, boring tangent.
Somebody must have been tangenting at that point. So
That's what we do. It's how we do what we do.
Shiny red ball.
Mitchell says, Carlos likes big things on the table.
I was going to say something when you were talking about that. I was like, you were talking about playing with big things, but I contained myself.
Looks like there's a reorg of the online gaming area on Discord. Yes. Geez, what was
Who
it?
did that?
It was me. I was playing around in there.
I don't remember. I didn't even looked, I guess. Yeah.
I like logged back in. I'm like, oh my god, everything moved.
It was due to, and I think it was Getty himself invited me to a board game group.
Yeah, the tabletop talkback.
And I saw how they had their setup organized in Discord. I didn't realize you can make categories of stuff. Because I've always wanted to have little text chat rooms for breakout for different game rooms.
Yeah.
So you can chat in Discord about the game you're playing on BGA.
Okay.
Instead of chatting in BGA, which I don't like their chat system.
I'm not crazy about it.
Right. So now you have game rooms in the Beans and Dice Discord where you can just jump in and take it over as your game room.
Just don't know if I'd go over and do that.
Tabletop Game Talk. They're another podcast.
Yeah,
And
so-
I listened to them, and I got in their Discord, and then I started joining their BGA games, and then I played a bunch of games with Getty, who looked at my BGA thing and saw that I was a member of the
cool.
Beans and Dice group,
And
that's
he
how-
joined over to
there's the
Beans and
link.
Dice.
There you go. There's
So
the
he
link.
invited me out to tabletop. I jumped over there and I saw, wow, look how organized this is. Like,
Wow.
So then I played around there and kind of spruced us up a little bit. Did some house cleaning. Let's see. BJ says, has anyone bought a game that they learned on BGA and liked it?
I have
I'm new to BGA, so I don't
I
know.
have a bunch on my list now. Cacao and Chocolate Factory. There you go. First one. I bought Chocolate Factory.
Yeah,
So I'm playing it.
me too. I learned it on BGA and immediately ordered it on Amazon. That is true.
But I have a few more coming up. I'm saving up for my birthday.
Mitchell says he bought King of Tokyo based on BGA. Carlos, he calls us out.
Yeah, Chocolate Factory.
Why you gotta call us out, bro?
Shout us out. There you go.
My business, my business. Getty says he bought Viticulture based on his play.
Okay.
Ron is asking King of Tokyo on BGA. Is it on BGA? King of Tokyo?
Yes, it is. It's good.
I do like King of
Which
Tokyo.
answers that question.
No,
Yeah, keep going. If you're going through all of them, just keep going. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yep.
Let's see here. He bought it to play with his kiddos. Diego says, I also want to pick up Cacao after playing it on BGA. Played it in person at game day. Oh, someone brought Cacao to game day?
It's on my list, but on Amazon right now, it's like $45 or something. I'm like,
I don't know. That $5 over the 40 makes me question it.
a little bit. I'm like, it's a fun game, but it's very much Carcassonne-like. So I'm like, well, if it was like
$39.99, I'm in. 45? Nah. Papayo for me, says BJ from Board Game Gumbo. Plus, I
Reebok Kingdom Builder. Okay, that's an interesting one. Kingdom
I hate
Builder.
that.
I've played that once, and I need to play it again. I played it with my kids.
It's on BGA
a few years ago. Okay, maybe BGA.
No, I don't hate the game.
I still own it.
I hate that scenario
Yeah.
where you have a game and you let it go and get rid of it, and then it kind of comes back in your life and like, why did I sell this?
Yeah.
That's why I don't sell anything. This is why I have no
you haven't
room.
sold anything for a long time, so
Wayne Okay, there's Wayne. Wait, that's you.
Yeah, we had. Yes, me. Yeah, I'm attacking. Yeah, we had a King of Tokyo game earlier this week. I'll set up a couple more.
Race for the Galaxy. Yeah, I'm a fan. I've only played it once, but yeah, great game.
Yeah, Getty's asking about Race for the Galaxy.
I like that one.
I don't know. I thinking of Race for the Galaxy. What was the game that they call Ares Expedition? That's what it's titled. I know it's the Terraforming Mars one. I played both. I think I'd rather play the Terraforming Mars.
Because you're
Ares
Expedition. Terraforming Mars, probably.
And I played Race for the Galaxy originally when it first came out, years ago. But I think Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition for me would be the one I'd pick. Mitch is Roll for the Galaxy, but not Race. Are they similar? I think Roll is dice.
Yeah, Roll for the Galaxy is a sequel to Race.
It's lighter.
It's lighter.
Streamlined dice. Yeah.
Let's see. We're talking more about Race for the Galaxy. And let's see any comments from us here.
He was shouting out that he played the 8 card, his first move.
Oh, God.
in Downforce there.
Downforce, yeah.
He destroyed us, and I still blame you. I could have beat him had you not held me back.
I blocked you.
Let's see here. Mitch says, I somehow came in second for sale despite forgetting that the checks only go to 15 instead of 30.
I read the rules about 4 times as we were playing, so I was like, 15s. Yeah, I can jump on those 15s. Yep.
Yeah. It's a fun. You got to get on the next one, Carlos, because you'll enjoy it. It's good.
It's fun.
Is it an easy one to learn?
It's real easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Real easy.
And we might have to do a simultaneous play, like on the phone together or something.
Yeah.
And that way I can learn it, and then I can do this async.
Yeah.
What else we got here? You all joined our BGA.
Are you talking about me? In that other group, they had a bunch of games.
Oh, you joined all our BGA. I'm not surprised. Wayne has been just...
Oh, he's just jumping in everything. Yeah.
It's just, I'm sitting at work and I needed it. It was there. So I was in, and there's a couple of podcasts that have Discord channels that have BGA sections like we do and like the other one do. And people are posting them all the time. And I'm like, well, I'll join them. Why not?
Albraski Game says they left a call in message friend. So it looks like maybe we missed a call. Yeah, we got a call.
Got a voicemail in there?
Yeah, and a little voicemail there. Let's see what we got here. Because we did close the line just so we can eventually wrap up the show.
You have the text thing version. You can see if it was...
Let's see if we can do even better.
Oh, yeah. No. All right.
No. You can play it sight unseen.
Oh, maybe not. No. Let me try this way.
Through that way.
Let's try it.
Mitchell's going to hate you.
I'm learning.
If we don't do the show soon. 10:30.
There we go. Let's try this. Okay. Carlos is learning a lot. Let's try it. Is it working?
I don't hear anything.
No, you don't hear nothing?
Hey, this is Al Broski here, and I'm a big fan of Boss Monster. Don't know if you heard of it, but I need a snack right now. I'm watching your stream, so even if you don't call back or whatever, you can just stay it live. That'd be kind of cool. Chicken nuggets, chicken tenders. What's the best snack for board game philanthropy? Thanks.
Chicken nuggets versus chicken tenders, huh?
Oh, man.
I don't know. They're all the same, aren't they?
No, they're not. I have a mood for nuggies, and then I have a mood for tenders, and they're not the same time.
Because tenders are
I could care less.
Right?
Yeah, they're all the same to me. You just dump them in some kind of sauce. They all taste the same.
It's the bread to chicken ratio. The bread to chicken ratio is different.
Also, he mentioned Boss Monster. I have a copy of Boss Monster that I bought. It's Indie Boards and Cards game, right?
Yep. I have Overboss.
Overboss, yeah.
Which is themed on Boss Monster.
Yeah, I have the original. Cause I went to some game day here in Tampa, and there was a bunch. Somebody from like Indie Boards and Cards was there, and they had all these indie games, and I got that Boss Monster.
Which one's Boss Monster? Somebody pull it up. I mean, I'm going to pull it up on my phone.
It's the one where you basically
It looks like an NES video game.
yeah, you're running. You're
There's
the dungeon.
several of those that came out,
You're
though.
the bad guy.
I have one of
You're
them.
the boss in the dungeon, and
Oh,
you're
okay.
running through the good guys, and you're trying to kill the good guys
not the
before
one I
they get
have.
through your dungeon.
Okay.
I picked up that and Gothic Doctor, which was the other one that I picked up that day.
Pixel Tactics, I think, is the one
Pixel
I have.
Tactics,
that I
similar, yeah.
I actually bought that from
Yep.
the designer, and he
Boss
signed
Monster.
it for me at Dice Tower, the third Dice Tower convention. I met the designer there, and he's
Rob's always dropping names.
Pixel
man.
Tactics. I don't know his name, but
Yeah.
Pixel Tactics.
So yeah, I have this and a couple of expansions. It's a fun game. I enjoyed it, and I Gothic Doctor is the other one I picked up that day, and that's one that I still pick to the table every now and then. It's a fun little game.
Well, that was cool. That was our first voicemail that I played on the show.
There you go.
Yeah,
So
we got lucky it wasn't profane or something, but yeah.
I,
cool.
you know what? I risk it for the
Yeah,
biscuit.
I guess so.
There's a lot- we do a lot for the show.
For speed of eating nuggets.
What's
yeah.
crazy is I
Enjoyment
think
of
we
eating.
have more viewers now than we did when the phone line was open. These are the questions that try men's souls. But I would say that the
Situational.
nuggies, because they have more bread to chicken ratio, they can actually grab onto more sauce. So they're like, when I'm into a saucy mood,
and soak up more alcohol.
Oh yeah, well, maybe that's it. Yeah,
and
keep you
nugget.
sober longer.
Here's I made history. Al Broski, you made history.
you
Thank
go.
you for joining into the show. And I think on that note, that's gonna
wrap it up.
catch us up and wrap us up. And we want to thank all of you that stuck around and then came back around, because we lost a few at the 10 o'clock hour. But somehow, wow, we're 40 minutes deep, bro.
I got to turn on Castles of Burgundy here that I got to play. So let's wrap this up.
All right, folks. We are the Beans and Dice podcast. Every Thursday night we do this. We take your phone calls live Thursday nights from 9 to 10 Eastern time, and we put out a podcast every other Sunday, thanks to my buddy Mitch in the cast. He's the podcast king. Make sure that we're on target. That's what we're going to go do now. We're going to record our podcast. We're going to go through Jamie Stegmaier's catalog of games and talk about his games and our thoughts on those. So that'll be posted for y'all on Sunday. Check us out. Don't forget to like, subscribe on whatever systems you're in. I'm Carlos.
I'm Rob.
I'm Wayne.
And we're the Beans and Dice podcast. A podcast about
How we game.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for watching the Beans and Dice podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe.